Today, we will discuss the Article 2 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution, or also known as the Declaration of Principles and State Policies. So when we say the Article 2 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution, it divided into two, the state policies and the state principles. But here, we will discuss only the general principles or the main principles of our state. Article 2, Section 1, Principles of the Philippines is a democratic and republican state. Sovereignty resides in the people and all government authority emanates from them. So when we say Article 2, Section 1, it shows the commitment of the Philippines to our democratic government, that we are a republican state. So when we say republican state, it refers to a government by representation chosen by the people themselves, as the case of the process of the election. So by the virtue of republican state, here in the Philippines, people are the one who choose their leaders. And there are a manifestations of democratic and republican state. So we have first the existence of Bill of Rights, or when we say Bill of Rights, this is also known as the Article 3 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution. Another is the observance of the rule of majority. So in our election, the one who gets the highest vote, the one who will serve in our government. Another is the observance of the principle that ours is government of laws and not of men. Fourth, the observance of the principle of separation of powers and checks and balances. So this one is the manifestation of a democratic, that we have a three branches of government, and the power itself is balanced and must be checked and observed. And lastly is the presence of election through popular will. Another is Section 4 of the Article 2, that says that the prime duty of the government is to serve and protect the people. And the government may call upon the people to defend the state, and in the fulfillment thereof, all citizens may be required, under conditions provided by law, to render personal military or civil service. So here, it shows the purpose and the main function of our government, which is to serve and protect the people. So meaning the government must protect the people at all costs. For example, nowadays, we experience a crisis, a health problem, and some socio-economic problem. So the government itself must provide a programs or solutions to protect public safety and public health. Another is the Section 5 of the Article 2, that the maintenance of peace and order, the protection of life, liberty, and property, and the promotion of the general welfare are essential for the enjoyment by all the people of the blessings of democracy. So this one, it support the section 4 of the article 2, which is we need to preserve peace and order to protect life, liberty, and property, or the general welfare of the people. It is because the government itself must boost the progress and development of the country. So, meaning the successful of the country or the certain state must observe on the following political terminologies, like in terms of social, political, and economic aspects of a state. So again, when we say the Article 2, it shows our general principle wherein that our country is a democratic and republican state wherein the people are the one who choose their leaders, and we have a three branches of government by the principle of separation of powers and check and balances. And another is the prime duty of our government is to protect peace and order and to serve the um the rights of the people. So let us now proceed to the Article 4 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution, or also known as citizenship. So we will jump to the Article 4, but later on, we will discuss also the Article 3. So Article 4 provides us our rights and privilege as a member or citizen of a certain state or as a part of a political community. To expand our knowledge in citizenship, let us have first the different terminologies or political term that we are going to use. First is citizenship. So when we say citizenship, this is just like your ID or a membership to as a citizen in a political community or society. So just like you are going to join in a organization, so you need to be registered to be part of of a certain organization. So same also in a certain country or state. This is also an ID to be part or to enjoy the different rights or political rights within the country or the state. Another is citizen. So citizen refers to a person having a title of citizenship. So for example, if we are going to describe your citizen as a person here in our country, we can call it as a Filipino. So is a member of a democratic community who enjoys full civil and political rights, just like what I've said before. Another term is alien. So when we say alien, this is synonymous from the word or term foreigner. But when we say foreigner, we use that in a social term, but alien in a political term. So is a citizen of a country who is residing in or passing through another country. So let us go now on the different modes on how to acquire citizenship or the different principles that govern citizenship by birth. So we have two. The first one is whose sanguinis. So when we say whose sanguinis, by means of blood relationship is the basis of acquisition of citizenship or by means of your parents. Another one is whose soli or whose loci, or meaning soil or land. So therefore, we can acquire your citizenship by means of place or birth or place of birth serves as the basis of acquiring citizenship. So for example, if we follow the Hus Sanguinis acquiring citizenship, meaning we can determine your citizenship by means of your parents. While when we say who's lucky or who's soli is by means of place of birth or a specific country kung saan ka ipinanganak. So another is we have the different ways of acquiring citizenship. So we have the involuntary method. So when we say involuntary method, this is refers to by birth because of blood relationship or place of birth. So involuntary method can be determined by the acquiring whose solis and whose sanguinis. So meaning you don't have any choice provided by the law that you are citizen of a certain country if we are going to follow the blood relationship and the place of birth or acquiring citizenship by whose sanguinis and whose loci. While the other method is voluntary method. So when we say voluntary method, meaning by your choice or by the application itself, by naturalization or from the term naturalized citizen, except in case of collective naturalization. So here in the Philippines, we have the section 1 of the article 4 provided the qualifications on how to become a Filipino citizen. So first, those who are citizen of the Philippines at the time of the adoption of this constitution. So the 1987 constitution. Second is those whose fathers or mothers are citizen of the Philippines. So meaning the second paragraph tells us that the so meaning either of your mother or father or both of your father and mother as a is a Filipino citizen, meaning you are also or you can acquire a Filipino citizen. Another is those born before January 17, 1973 of Filipino mothers who elect Philippine citizenship upon reaching the age of majority. So, the third paragraph referring to the people who acquiring or naturalize their citizen before the January 17, 1973. And the last qualification is those who are naturalized in, in accordance with law. Section 5 of the Article 4 that says dual allegiance of citizens is inimical to the national interest and shall be dealt with by law. So here in the Philippines, Section 5 prohibits more particularly naturalized Filipinos from practicing what is called dual allegiance. But dual allegiance is different from dual citizenship. When we say dual citizenship, it refers to the possession of two citizenships by an individual. So here in the Philippines, we can acquire dual citizenship, but not dual allegiance. So what is the difference between the two? Dual allegiance refers to the continued allegiance of naturals to their country even after they acquired Filipino citizenship. Or you are a dual citizen and it is declared inimical to national interest and Congress require that it be dealt with by law. Meaning, the loyalty and allegiance to one's country should be absolute and undivided. But this is not possible if one is a dual citizen. Because, for example, um, if or which of his two or her two countries should a dual citizen support in terms or in case of there is a national interest or in terms of war between your two citizenship. So meaning he cannot support one country without violating his oath of allegiance to the other country. So therefore, it's a general principle that most of the countries we cannot afford to have a dual allegiance, but we can afford to have a dual citizenship, but not dual allegiance. Let us go now to the Article 5 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution, or also known as suffrage. So when we say suffrage, this is a political right of a citizen or the right and obligation to vote of qualified citizens in the election or particularly in a election of certain national or it can be also local officers of the government and in the decision of public questions submitted to the people. And when we say suffrage, it should be also granted to individuals only upon the fulfillment of a certain minimum conditions essential for the welfare of the society. So we have different scope of this of suffrage, but we will give emphasis only the election or the voting of government officials. So when we see the section 1 of the article 5, suffrage may be exercised by all citizens of the Philippines not otherwise disqualified by law. So, Section 1 of Article 5 provides us the qualifications of the registered voter. So, at least 18 years of age and who shall have resided in the Philippines for at least 1 year or resident in the Philippines for at least 1 year and in the place wherein they propose to vote for at least 6 months. So, meaning we our voting system can be divided into two. We have the national election and the local election. So for the local election, you must be at least 6 month resident of a certain local government. However, in national government, it should be or it must be at least 1 year resident here in the Philippines. So we have at least three qualifications to exercise our vote. At least 18 years of age, 1 year resident of the Philippines, and of course, a registered voter. So no literacy, property, or other substantive requirement shall be imposed on the exercise of suffrage because again, our country is a republican state, so therefore we must lessen the qualifications because this is ruled by many, not a ruled by a middle class. So the more or the mere fact we provide or we put a for example a an educational attainment to our qualifications for the voting or voters, it can be classified in different type of government. So to justify the rule of the masses or ruled by the people, there is no literacy, property, or any substantive requirement that must that may be or shall be imposed on the exercise of suffrage. So just like in our previous lesson about the types of government, so maybe this is the reason why Aristotle can be or he he described government or democratic government as an effect, most ineffective type of government or the worst type of government because most likely people here are prone to corruption because most of the people or the voter itself are experiencing poverty. So the tendency is to buy their votes. So always remember that suffrage or the voting is not only your rights, it is also our power. That we must be responsible and we must use our power wisely. It is because there is a collateral damage if we cannot use this properly. For example, by means of vote buying, we can elect people who are not deserved or those people who are incompetent to serve in our country. So we must use this power wisely and responsibly. Always remember that people here in a democratic country are the one who choose their leaders regardless of the requirements of the politicians or the government officials. We are the one who will choose the elected officials. So, again, always use your suffrage or your rights responsibly and wisely.